Old Eddy asking Danny to stop. So this is a deleted scene in Take This Head and Shove It, and what it is that after Eddy wakes up after becoming old, he asks Antonui to stop it and wake him up from this silly cartoon dream stuff. It's meant to be funny, but it's honestly pretty depressing from the denial that comes in here from age. Canker Sisters' babies. This is another deleted scene from the same episode, and this one is more strange, messed up, and interesting if you ask me. Not only do we see old versions of the Canker Sisters, but we see their babies from the Eds too. And that's already enough, but just seeing a bunch of babies quietly crying there, they're all like weirdly drawn on this show is very off, especially since this is technically like more people that we're seeing in a show that's known for not having that much of a cast. And of course adds a whole bunch of other layers to think about with that. And also there's no good quality of either deleted scene either, and yeah, that's also something to add to the factor. Bobo reappears in comics. So you might remember Bobo as Ralph's pet clam. Well, he makes another appearance in these comics that no one talks about. Pretty neat. The Kankers' mom is troubled. So this refers to subtext that's picked up on the show, like once you watch it after enough times, especially at an older age. And it's by how the Kankers live, like as well as what they say, that what their mom says, like when they're like, "Mom says you gotta stare at them," and like from what you can gather from all of this is that their mom was left by at least 3 men, probably really bad relationships. I mean, it seems like she probably became like a sexist afterwards of some of the stuff that they say, and like this probably shows like why the Kankers act so clingy and weird around guys, is that like they're not around to like be around them, or their mom goes on about trying to find like the perfect one or something. And she also seems to work all day to support her daughters, and she seems to really love them and like spoil them, possibly to like protect them. She gave them the only room in their trailer that they live in, which implies that she like sleeps on the couch if like at all there. And the Kankers though still don't have her around since she's busy doing all of that. Like they have to clean and cook for themselves, which is kind of sad to think about. And like despite like seeing like very loving towards them, she's probably also under a lot of stress and disdain, and that probably sometimes gets out, which might explain the Kankers' more sadistic and bullying behavior. First original Cartoon Network show with a continuous time flow and continuity. So this calls back to the episode timeline entry where we show that they all take place in order and follow a year. And it has to do with that on top of like callbacks made to other episodes, not just the flashback episode, but also Eddy referring to when Jimmy became a sumo wrestler in A Fistful of Ed, as well as like other smaller callbacks in the Big Picture show. And that movie is where it all paid off and they got their development and resolution. The only example from like around that time I can think of is when the Powerpuff Girls were redoing their first episode with the dogs. But like that hardly counts. It wasn't really until the Renaissance age until like it became more common to do this. So the show was way ahead of its time in a way. Ed's parents abuse and neglect him. So when Book of Phallus did his video on my iceberg, he kind of took the words right off my mouth when it came to this entry. I definitely think it was the best one he did on there. Though he did talk a lot more about Sarah, which is something that I didn't think of. So yeah, definitely see that, and I'm going to be reiterating some, but a bit differently. So yeah, Ed just stays in the basement of his house and seems pretty ignored by his parents. And they listen to Sarah whenever she tattles on him, which is also unhealthy for her, by the way. Like, I mean, I know Sarah seems to be on top, but that's really, like, toxic for her also. But yeah, like, the biggest kicker is them fucking taking the stairs away from him when he was grounded. That's disturbing indeed, Double D. Like, who the hell does that? And I remember also seeing an interpretation on that scene on, I think it was TV Tropes, where they do this kind of stuff, because, like, Ed physically is, like, a freaking, like, monster cartoon. So they mentally punish him since they don't want to be, like, overpowered. Like, they can't do much else physically, even though they, like, pulled on his ears and stuff. But yeah, no wonder he seems so sheltered and, like, dumb. Like, it kind of adds, like, a sad, dark layer on his intelligence when you think about it that way. And, like, as you watch the show after being a kid, you'll realize, like, as each episode goes on, just how fucked up some of the parental relationships are here. But yeah, that got a bit dark, and the next phase are going to continue that, as the first entry in the next one is going to be on episode 34. Yes, that episode 34.